Hello and welcome back to Monstropolis. Today I'm going to show you how to start building the exterior of the Monsters, Inc. factory. Here's a screenshot of this location from the Monsters, Inc. movie. Let's start in the front near the bottom of the screen. The first thing we see is the parking lot, and then we see a long rectangular shaped building in the front of the plant. This is the entrance to the factory, and this building contains the lobby and probably the offices for the executives, the locker rooms, and the training rooms. There is also a dome-shaped structure in the middle of that building. And here's another shot of the building, and you can see that Mike and Sully are walking right up to the doors in front of the dome-shaped part of the building. So I believe that dome shape is the roof of the lobby. Now behind that long rectangular-shaped building, there are 3 rows of rather odd-shaped triangular buildings, and I believe these are the different scare floors where Sully, Randall, and the other scarers work. For my toy box, I'm only going to build 1 row of these because that is really all the player is going to see anyway. So building 1 row instead of 3 will save us quite a bit of memory. And then behind the scare floors in the back, there is a massive building with the Monsters, Inc. logo on it. I believe this is where all of the doors are stored, and on either side of that big building there are lots of smokestacks, pipes, and machinery. So this is what I'm going to build, and it will take me 2 episodes to do this. In this video, I will focus on the rectangular entrance building and the scare floor buildings, and then next time I will build the massive building in the back. And so we're going to begin right out here in the front of this build. And because we don't have any pre-made buildings that look like any of those buildings, we're going to have to improvise. And we'll try to use the building pieces that we have, but for the most part, we're going to have to use the basic blocks to create many of these structures. And fortunately, we can do this without needing to use any path creators or do anything complex. And so let's start with that large rectangular building. And I think out of all of the buildings that we have, this is the one that probably most closely matches it. The problem is this building is a little bit tall for the scale that I'm looking at building this thing to. And so instead, I'm going to use the skyscraper lobby. And this side is kind of the flat side. There's a door, though, on this side. So we'll put this in the middle. And it's on either side. And I want to line this up with the middle of the road because I want the road to be centered right on the entrance to the building. And then we're going to pull this all the way back to the edge of this first terrain seam right here. So this is where we're going to put this. Okay. And then we're going to spin this and put one of these on either side. So that's our long rectangular shape. Unfortunately, I don't have anything that would match that dome that I can put on top of this. The best thing you could probably do there is do something similar to what I did with the roof of the King Arthur's Carousel at Disneyland. Put down a circular path on top of this building and try to use one of these building blocks. Trouble is, there really isn't one that that works. I really like something like this piece, but I'd like it to be curved. And unfortunately, we don't have that. So you'd have to put down, you could lower it down like this, perhaps, with the path, and put 25 of these in a circular path around this, and that would give you something. It would look a little bit more, I don't know, tent style though, because it's not curved on top. It's not going to look like a dome because that's flat. So since that's a lot of work and I couldn't get the shape that I wanted anyway, we're just going to leave it like this. The only other thing you could really do is put down the full dome on top, but that's awful dinky. That's going to look kind of stupid. It really needs to be bigger than that, and we don't have anything bigger than that. So we're going to leave it just like that. Okay, for the scare floors, we're going to have to build this with basic building blocks. And I'm going to show you how to do this with one building. We're going to build, I think, 7 or 8 of these. But I'll show you how to do it for one, and then you can replicate it. And so we're going to use the basic building blocks for this. And we're going to start with one of these long blocks right on the back of this building. And let's style this. We want to use the Agrabah Palace stucco theme. So we have to scroll over a little ways to get that. This is about the right style, the right texture for what we saw in that screen grab. I set that to be my theme. We're going to put 2 of these down like this. And let me make sure I get this right. Yeah. Okay. And then to get the triangular shape for the building, we're going to put one of these down on the front corner. And then we're going to use some of these to build the shape of that roof. And we're going to put 3 of these down. And we'll put some of these underneath. Like that. Okay? So that would be the shape for the front of the building. And then on the back side, we'll come back over here. Put a couple of these down. One of those. And 2 of these. And if you want to enclose this, you can put a couple of more of these in here like that. I'll show you how you can save a little bit of memory in a moment when we get there. Alright, so that's basically what you're going to do. And then each building's going to have essentially the same shape. So you're going to build another one next to that with the same shape as you just saw me build there. And I'll just do part of this. And then you're going to build another shape. Oops, there we go. And you're going to have a lot of these shapes out here like this. And I'm only building, again, part of this structure because you've just seen me build the first one. You're basically going to do the same thing out here. So you're going to build 3 of them out that way. And build those 2 just like you did this one. Okay? Now, for the next part of this are the windows on the front of this. And there's a couple different ways you could do this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use some terrain blocks to try to save memory, because this block and this block are basically the same, but for some reason I have noticed that the basic blocks take up just a little bit of extra memory, and so the more of these you use, the more memory you consume. So if you can use these terrain blocks instead, that will save you a little memory. That's what we're going to do. And so what I want to have here is we are going to put one of these on the front, just like this. And let me exit out of this because the style that I need for this is going to be on a power disk. And it's the Tomorrowland power disk. I'll put this on the base. I don't want to switch my whole world to that theme, but this unlocks the theme that we need for this block. And so, and I'll tell you in a moment if you don't have this power disk what you can do, but we're going to set this to be our theme for the terrain blocks. And then we're going to put some blocks along here, like this. I think it's the same texture all the way around, yeah, for the most part. Make sure I get this right. Okay, so you can do that. And then we can put one of these in here, and we're trying to minimize the number of terrain seams that you see from this side. So that gives you kind of a good look for some windows on that. All right. Now, if you do not have this power disk, there is an alternative. And it actually, I think, looks probably a little bit better, but it's going to use more memory. And so what we'll do is we'll use this block instead. And you want to change the theme on this. Oops, we'll go to the left because it reset that drawer on me. But we're looking for the disco ball theme. And I'll set that to be my theme. And I know that looks a little goofy at the moment, but hold on. Let's finish building this first. Now, since we don't have a really tall block over here, we're going to have to kind of make do with some small blocks. And we'll try to put some of these in. You can't do that because that will cause a problem there. Alright, so you're going to build something like that. And when you look at this from the front, it kind of looks a little bit more like the tiny windows that you saw on that building, and they're shiny. They're a little bit shinier than this. So I think that would be a good alternative. I personally would prefer to go with this because it saves memory, and it's not quite as bright as that, but this is a good alternative. All right, now if you'll notice along here, when you fill this in along the back, some of this on the back is not going to be seen because the player is not going to go back there. And so if you want, you could save a little bit of memory and remove some of these rear blocks, and even this one because it's going to be kind of buried. But that's up to you if you need to do that to save memory. But I'll just build it this way. All right, and then when you get to the outside of this, basically, because we don't have, let's see, let me go ahead and finish building this the right way, just so I can make sure I don't confuse myself here. On the bottom edge, you're going to have one of these. And again, this should be styled with the Agrabah theme. Let's go ahead and put that back, because again, I don't want to confuse you. So this is the Agrabah Palace stucco. I set that to be my theme. Alright, so when you get to the outside one, this will be the outside edge for that block. Alright? And then you're going to fill in the rest of this that way. So you don't need another set of these blocks here, because that goes with the next building. Okay? Alright, and then we're going to put in the roof, because we've got all the walls in now. And to put the roof in, we're going to reuse this block and the one next to it there on top. And for the roof pieces, we're going to style this to be the tin roof theme. I'll set that to be my theme. So like that. And then grab these. And you're going to run a row of these across. And there you go. There is your scare floor building from the outside in miniature, because there isn't really, it's not really large enough inside to build a scare floor. but it doesn't have to be because this is just the exterior and we just want to give the idea of what this looks like. And of course, again, when you get to the outside building here, you're just going to have a row of these coming out, and that's what the last building will look like. Okay, so what you're going to do is basically take this same building here and build it 2 more times there, and I think about 5 more times in this direction. So you're going to have a total of 8 of these. And again, just build 1 row because you don't need to build 3 rows of those. The player, when they're out here running around the toy box, is not going to see that anyway. And if they're up here on top of these distant buildings, they're not really going to see or get a good look at those anyhow. So I think 1 row of those is sufficient. Okay, and I'm going to build the rest of those offline. I'll show you what that looks like in a moment. Now the next piece that we want for our exterior is going to be the guard shack that's going to be out here at the front by the street. And so for this, I'm going to drop one of these down on the corner of this block right here, like you see. And if we go up to Building Sets Group 2, and we go to the left, we have this small stone skyscraper piece. And we're going to put 4 of these together like that. That makes up our guard shack. And under Building Sets Group 3, go up and look for this street corner. This will be the roof for our guard shack. Okay. And then under Building Sets Group 7, from the Force Awakens playset, we have these fence pieces. We're going to put these centered on there like that. And if you run this all the way down, this will take you right to the very edge of the toy box. So that will work out really nice. And then on this side, you're going to do the same sort of thing. Till you get to this point, and then use this little corner piece in here like this. We're going to put 2 of these down like so. Make sure I get my picture here. Yeah, 2 of these, and then another corner. And if you want, you can take this all the way to the end of the toy box, but we're not going to do that because the player's probably not going to wander back there anyway. It's sufficient just to see it like this. Okay. And then for the parking lot, let's put another block right here. We're going to run 2 of these over. And then on the end of this, we're going to do 2, followed by 1 of these. And these are just little spacer blocks, by the way. Oops. We'll take these out in a moment. Run this all the way down to the edge of the grass over here. And then put down 2 of these. Grab this and run it all the way down to the grass on this side. Like that. And then go to the plants drawer, and we're looking for Fantasy Terrain Strip 1. We're going to put this one down on the end of there like that. Flip it around, put the next one down like this. 1 little nudge from the end of that block. Same thing there. Same thing there. And each of these you'll style to use the Metroville. There it is. So I will just apply that. Don't theme all, because we have other ones that we used last time. So then just style all 3 of these. Or all 4 of these. Okay, and then at this point you can take out all these little helper blocks for spacing these out. If you want, you can come up to the decorations drawer and come over, maybe add some cars parked in here, park some over on this side and over on that side around these. Try to leave this area here open for our child collection quest, because this is where the CDA agents are going to go. But there's the factory exterior, and now I'm going to go offline and just take out these blocks and finish building the rest of the scare floor buildings so you can see what they look like. Then we'll wrap this up for the day. Okay, I am back, and I have added all 8 of the buildings for the scare floor buildings in the back. And I have also run the fence all the way down to the end of the terrain. As you can see, that comes right to the edge of the terrain, so there's nothing overhanging. There's no gap missing. And I took out all of the helper blocks. And so there we have the parking lot and the entrance to the factory and the scare floor buildings. Now all of these buildings are built pretty much the same way, but I want to show you that I was able to save a little bit of memory. If we look at the back side, you can see that I have finished these 3. These I did not, because those are going to be covered up by the huge building in the back. And then these 2 I went ahead and covered up. And I could have gotten away with not covering up part of this. I could actually take out those 2, I think. I shouldn't have a problem there. But yeah, so you can save a little bit of memory. If you want, you can also take out those blocks and these blocks. You have to leave these 2 in here though, because that's part of the wall on this side. But you can save some memory by taking out some of those blocks, because again, players are never going to see them from the back side. And also, since these 3 buildings here are covering up part of the windows, if you look at the inside of these, you can see I left the 2 blocks out on this side, which are over here, because you can't see these from here. And I did that on these. On this one I had to put this building in though, because we're on the corner of the building here. Oops, and you're going to be able to see inside of here. So I needed to make sure that was closed off. But from up here, you just want to be able to make sure that's sealed off if the player happens to get up on top of this roof and look around. And of course, if you have the memory, you can just leave the whole thing enclosed. That's not a problem. Well, I think that's enough for today. Next time, we will build the massive building in the back that has the Monsters, Inc. logo on it, and that will finish the build exercise for this toy box. Until then, I want to thank you for watching. Before you go, leave a comment and let me know what you think of my build for the factory entrance and the scare floor buildings. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel and my blog if you haven't already done that. Take care.